Hello, everybody. My guest today is Geoff Roberts. He's co-founder of a company called Outseta, a software platform that gives SaaS companies all the tools they need to launch and scale a subscription business. Geoff, are you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it, Nathan.
All right. So tell us about this tool. What do you guys do and how do you make money?
Yeah, so we're a subscription business ourselves, but the idea is basically if you're a SaaS startup, all the SaaS startups that we've encountered in our time as operators, advisors, founders, are doing the same thing. They're going out, they're buying a CRM system, they're eventually going to buy a billing system, and they need some sort of communication tools, whether those are sales and marketing tools, customer support tools, and ultimately they're spending time stitching those solutions together, integrating those tools, evaluating those tools, and it results in relatively unclear financial and technical overhead. So we're providing a platform for the day one SaaS business that gives them essentially all the tools they need to launch their business working with a single vendor.
And how many folks are on your team?
So right now there's a founding team of 3, and we just brought on our first outside hire as well.
So 4 total. So here I'm putting my brain kind of in the brains of people listening that are starting a SaaS company, right? And they're looking at buying a billing solution like Recurly or Chargeify, an email marketing tool like Mailchimp or Aweber, CRM like Hubspot's free HubSpot, an analytics tool like ChartMogul, right? Or a payroll thing like Zenefits. You're arguing we do all this in one. My question to you would be: there's no way that you can have the kind of insight into each of those tools where each of these guys are focusing on doing this one thing really, really well. There's no way you can capture all that with a team of 4. So how do you respond to that?
Absolutely. I think there's 2 things. One is we're taking a very long-term approach to this business. We're not out to grow to $100 million in revenue overnight. We're not out to raise funding. Our founding team has worked together previously, and we're in this for the long haul, which means we have more time to mature the product and build the product into what it needs to be. But secondarily, I think a lot of it comes from our experience scaling a previous company where we used some homegrown tools. We went out and we bought HubSpot, we bought Salesforce, we bought a whole series of point solutions. And ultimately, at the very, very early stage of a SaaS startup, most of those tools are overkill. The actual need is for relatively basic functionality as you're trying to get your business off the ground and validate that you actually have something that's worth growing.
So what's your price point? What's the average customer paying per month? I hope it's much, much cheaper than all these things added.
Yep. So it's $99 per month. That's it. And then we take a 2.9% processing fee on our billing tools, which is the same as Stripe, for example.
Okay. So just that's the only pricing option you have. It's $99 a month.
We have a free plan for founders. It is limited to 250 contacts. So basically, we don't have like a free trial model. We'll give you full access to the tool. You can kick the tires on it for as long as you want. You're just limited to a small number of contacts to kind of validate that the tool is going to do what you need it to do. Beyond that, it's $99 per month, and that's it. You can have as many users of the product as you want, send as many emails as you want. It's really all you can eat after that point.
When did you launch the company?
So the company's been around since December 2016. To your previous point, it is a big engineering effort in particular. So we actually launched our minimum viable product January 1st of this year.
2018.
Yes,
so
correct.
The begs the question, how did you support yourself between 2016 and 2018?
Yeah, so we all have slightly different scenarios, but for really the short answer is we are all doing some other work. I work together with one of my co-founders. His name is Dimitri at a previous company called Buildium. Dimitri still works a couple days a week at Buildium and is focused on Outseta 3 days a week now. I'm doing something similar, except I do consulting work as opposed to working for another business.
And so totally bootstrapped today, outside of the money that you guys have put in.
100% bootstrapped.
And what have you scaled to today in terms of total customers?
So we have coming up on 200 startups using the product right now, and just a small number of paying customers. So we have a lot of people basically on that free product that are still sort of integrating the system, kicking the tires, getting their businesses set up properly. And we've got somewhere between 5 and 10 companies that are on a paid subscription that we're very actively working with, incorporating their feedback into the product and really working with them on a day-to-day basis.
Got it. So right now you're doing, call it 500, maybe $1,000 a month, something like that.
A little bit more than that, but still certainly the early days.
So how do you I go back to your point about, Mailchimp is overkill for the beginner, right? And if Mailchimp was like $200 a month to start, and you're saying, hey, we get Mailchimp plus all this other stuff for 99, I get it. But like, they have a 2,000 subscriber free plan, and so does, these payment gateways don't charge until there's, value going through it. So, and then guess what? It's pretty easy for me to stick a Zapier Zap in between them to connect them. So I'm just curious, I'm curious what's going through your brain in terms of how do you focus on what battle to win first and then scale from?
Yeah. So in terms of what battle to win first, we're definitely trying to intercept companies, as early as possible. So our lead sources are like when people publish a profile on Angel's List, or when we see a new SaaS product launch on Product Hunt. That's the right time for us to reach out. And oftentimes, in addition to sort of the categories of software I've already mentioned, we have tools that we've built around things like registration and authentication, and how to set up lost password workflows and those sorts of things. So we're really trying to get the companies, at day one, and give them all the tools that they need, so they can go back and just focus on building their core product and nothing else. And we think if we do that, we have a pretty compelling value prop. Absolutely, there's tons of free tools out there, as you mentioned, or at least low price tools that serve startups. But at the end of the day, even if you're using those free tools, they aren't all interconnected. You are going to spend some time, whether it's with Zapier or, however you want to integrate these tools, stitching them together. And if those joints aren't really, really good, you're also losing some context on your customer's journey, or losing some context on your business's performance. We think there's just enormous benefits in terms of alignment, when your entire team's logging into one platform and really getting a more complete picture of your business.
Yeah, I think there are some big assumptions you're making in that statement, but I want to continue. So let's assume that all that is true. The next step is, okay, you want to start with folks that are starting out $99 a month, but once they mature and they need more solutions, more features, they're going to advance to these other solutions that can do more, which they just have bigger dev teams. They've done more than you. So you have a perverse incentive for founders using you not to have success, because if they do, they churn.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. That's something we've definitely talked about as a team and are well aware of. So I'd go back to sort of the origin story of our founding team. We worked together at a company called Buildium, Buildium. It's a property management software company based in Boston that's done very, very well for itself. It's had, a remarkable startup run, really. And just going from, day one to about $5 million in revenue, it took 5 or 6 years. And if we can serve a company that's growing fast over the course of 5 or 6 years and have them use our product, we think that's plenty of customer lifetime value for us to capture.
Mm-hmm. But again, I think once people get to $1 million run rate, spending $20 a month on Mailchimp becomes an easy decision because of the amount of other features they have that you guys don't have. That's what I'm trying to figure out, is like you have a really scary perverse incentive structure in your business model, in that, one, if a small business doesn't go out of business, right? So, which is a big if, right? That's where most churn comes from at this price point. Let's assume that they succeed. They're also going to churn on the upper end. The success stories are going to churn, and the failure stories are going to churn. I'm just curious how you fix that bucket.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is, we're going to creep closer to feature parity with some of these tools. Certainly, we're never going to have every feature that some of the more robust solutions do have, but still, for a company doing $10 million or less of revenue, I think over time you will see each of the software categories that we serve creep closer to feature parity.
I'm curious though how you're going to do that. I mean, if I just take out the logos that you have on, it was a nice wordplay on the logos on your homepage. If I just add up all these tools and the funding that they've raised, there's over $1 billion in capital they've put into their tools. There's no way you can come anywhere near feature parity with these guys unless you go raise $1 billion, $2 billion and scale quickly.
In terms of some of the tools, yes, but I think there's a huge difference here too. These companies have gone out and raised tons of money in funding, and with that, they've almost all gone up market. They've added, more and more features and functionality that frankly aren't relevant to an early stage startup.
I'm sure Mailchimp, though, you can still start with 2,000 free thing. It's free. 2,000 leads free.
You absolutely can, and there's certainly people that are going to go that route and that appeals to. I think a lot of the people, what we've learned so far from our customer acquisition efforts, a lot of the people that work with us, yes, they definitely like the notion of a single integrated platform, doing more with less. All of that resonates, but they also like the brand that we're building, the way that we want to build our company. And a lot of them are self-funded software entrepreneurs themselves. They see sort of how we're looking to build our company, and it's something that resonates with them, and that's why they choose to work with us over some of these hugely funded companies.
Yeah, but if you want to be inspiring, you go be a coach and you sell and you go get speaking gigs. That's not going to make people stick in a software company. I mean, I think Mailchimp is still, but some of these companies, by the way, are still bootstrapped. My point in the capital comment was they put so much money behind their tech teams. I'm curious if you had some master plan to reach parity with them. So let me ask you a different question. Like if you've got confidence in this model, why are you guys still doing side projects? Why not go all in? You're back against the wall.
Yeah, so some of us are able to, some of us aren't. For myself personally, I'm not financially successful enough to be able to just quit and go work on this full time. I've got bills to pay, so consulting is how I do that. I think as we continue to work on the product and we grow our user base, we're focusing on profitability from day one. As I said, we never want to raise money. And I think we'll all look to transition in that direction as quickly as we can. But in the meantime, you got to do what you got to do.
What is by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think if you believe that you're going to be 5 million in ARR soon and you have confidence in that, you would be all in and you put your back against the wall and you put your life on the line to go figure it out.
Sure. I'd tell you we're absolutely all in, but I need some monthly income.
Yeah, I hear you. Talk to me about activation. When someone signs up for you, what's the thing you need to get them to do in the first 10 minutes of them logging on that's going to make them extra sticky?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We've been looking for sort of one single activation point, and what we've learned so far is it varies pretty dramatically by whoever the person is and what they're trying to accomplish. One of our biggest activation challenges is just this notion of selling this whole platform. Startups don't go out there, no one's out there looking for this platform that we offer. Startups are looking to solve their immediate need, whether it's they need to send an email campaign or they need to start charging a customer or whatever it is. So we're intercepting people at all these different points. If you go through our onboarding workflow, we ask you a series of questions. It's, what are you trying to do right now? Are you trying to deploy an email campaign? Are you trying to start tracking your prospects and customers? Are you trying to set up billing? And we've had a pretty even distribution of people picking off the product with those different goals in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I think that's another, it was a bit of a trick question. I wanted to see if there was one thing you're optimizing around. The problem is you have 8 or 9 different potential focuses, right? So if it's the payroll part of your tool, right, it's getting their first 3 employees added. If it's your HubSpot competitor, it's number of contacts. Like if I asked, Ben at Mailchimp what his activation metric is, it's get their first 10 leads in the first week. Brian at HubSpot, even early on, he would tell you it's get their first contact in the door, right? Because it's a CRM. The problem is you don't have one singular problem to optimize around. And so you're just divided and it's highly, highly diluted.
That's absolutely true. Yep.
So how do you solve that?
I think you work with each customer as they come in. We're like I said, we're an early stage company. When we have people come in the door at this point, we're still doing everything we can to make them successful. We're bending over backwards. If it's a customer reaching out to us saying, "Hey, I need to send an email campaign. I'm trying to generate some leads," I will get on the phone with them and I will work with them and talk through the campaign strategy and help them deploy that campaign. If it's someone that needs to set up billing, likewise. And these things snowball, as you know. SaaS is a long-term game. If we can get 2 customers to sign up this month and 4 next month and 6 next month, that's the direction things are going to go. And that's what's been happening with us so far. And, it's certainly, it's a challenge that a lot of other companies don't have that are more singularly focused. But I think there are enormous benefits to our approach too. Like you said, churn is obviously something we have to be cognizant of in terms of who.
Do you have any so far?
But
has anyone churned?
No one has churned, and that's one of the beautiful things about the product too. Is if someone does come
Geoff,
on board with us,
it's early. You have a cohort of 5, so let's just
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying, but my counterpoint is if someone does want to adopt the solution in full, their entire business is operating on Outseta, or a huge portion of their business is operating on Outseta. So the product is stickier for that reason as well.
Yep. I hear you. Good stuff. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book, The Lean Startup. It's a typical answer, but that's it.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
No, but I'll give a shout out to a CEO that's not well known that you should absolutely talk to. His name is Michael Montero. He was the CEO until last week of the company I mentioned earlier called Buildium. He's a completely not well known CEO in the SaaS space, but one of the best in my opinion.
I love golden nuggets like that. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your business besides your own?
G Suite.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
8.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
I am engaged.
Oh, congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
No kids yet, right?
No kids yet.
All right.
Probably in the next year or two though.
That's exciting. And how old are you?
I'm 31.
All right. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Good one. I think one of the things that's really resonated with me and that gives me a lot of confidence in the direction we're going with Outseta is how important it is to take a long-term perspective, particularly in startups. It takes 10 years to build anything worthwhile. And I think if you can afford yourself the opportunity to take that time, your chances of success go up dramatically.
Especially when you have assholes like me pushing you to think about short-term stuff. Guys, there you have it from Geoff, trying to combine many of these tools that startups need and putting it all in one package at a $99 price point. They've signed up 5 folks at $99 a month. Team of 4, again, launched in 2016, developed and coded for 2 years, launched pricing in early 2018. Geoff, thank you so much for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it.